And like I said, you can't say that other people have the right to be depressed and others don't. Like, that's not how it works. Depression doesn't care about your circumstances. Like, it doesn't care if your situation is better than someone else's. If you're depressed, you're depressed. Hello, it's Kenzie. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to be tackling the topic of depression and anxiety specifically. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so we're talking about what depression actually, the definition, the symptoms, what people go through. So depression is when you are just in a state of hopelessness. The symptoms include sadness and loss of interest in anything, insomnia, excess sleeping, some of the things that you go through when you're struggling with depression. You know, you're just sad all the time. You just have this deep feeling of sadness and you don't really have the energy to get into anything. You don't want to do anything. You kind of feel like your existence is pointless and nothing you do matters. Nothing in the world really matters, and you don't really feel like there's a point in going on. So of course people struggle with suicidal thoughts when they're depressed, and because you don't feel like there's a point in doing anything, you might miss out on opportunities and you just want to sleep the whole time because sleep is a way to escape reality. So you tend to not want to face reality when you're depressed, so you might sleep a lot. You know, you might spend a lot of time sleeping, and also you might spend a lot of time not being able to sleep, and then you make up for that by sleeping through your days, and you just don't want to get up out of bed in the morning. That is depression. Anxiety is just having a sense of worry and fear constantly about everyday situations. You're just worried that something is going to go wrong. Increased heart rates. You might have panic attacks or anxiety attacks. That's when you kind of just feel like you're having a heart attack. You can't breathe and you feel like you're going to die. Every single day you're just worried about something going wrong. You can't do everyday activities because you're just afraid. And you're afraid of people, you're afraid of situations you've never been in before, public spaces, you're afraid to go after opportunities in life, you're just afraid to interact with people. That's the reality of anxiety and depression. So yeah, I have been suffering with both anxiety and depression for a very long time. Since I was basically a child from a very early age. That happens with a lot of people. So there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to depression. People don't really understand it. Depression is a condition that exists on its own, and so you don't it's not like it needs to be affected by anything. Yes, things can contribute to depression. Like, let's say you go through a divorce or you lose someone in your life, like you have a loss. Grief can trigger depression. You lose your job, you get out of a relationship, you lose your house, something, life events can trigger depression. But what I'm trying to say is that depression doesn't really need a reason. Like, you see that a lot of people who are suicidal end up taking their lives, and then everyone is so confused. People are like, I don't understand why they would do this. I don't understand why she would do this. She seemed fine, she wasn't fine. She was struggling. And the thing is that people are looking for reasons as to why someone is depressed. So they'll be asking for reasons like, okay, what exactly is making you depressed? What exactly is making you sad? But I mean, there could be reasons that you use as excuses, but what I'm saying is that you could have everything in the world, you could have everything that you want, which is why they say that money doesn't buy happiness. It's just that, you could achieve all these things that you want and then still be depressed because it's just within you. It's a pre-existing condition. And so depression doesn't care how many friends you've got. Depression doesn't care if you have the best girlfriend in the world. Depression doesn't care if you have a beautiful marriage. It doesn't care if you have a wonderful husband. Depression doesn't care if you have your dream job. It doesn't care if you have a high salary. It doesn't care if you have a lot of money. That's why you see cases with rich people who take their lives. It doesn't care if you're supposed to be happy. So you might be in a situation where you're supposed to be happy, right? Like there's no reason that you should be sad. I mean, yes, there could be reasons. Like, it could be like, oh, I'm really struggling financially. I'm really broke. I don't have a job. I don't have a purpose in life. They could be things that you could use as an excuse, but the reality of it is that it exists even when you start achieving things. Like, even if you reach your goals, you might be happy momentarily. Like, for that moment, you'll be like, oh wow, okay, cool. And then it just all those distractions sort of fall away. And then you find yourself stuck with the feeling of sadness. Like I said, I've been struggling with those symptoms for a long time, like since I was a child. And so when I was a child, I didn't really have a reason to be sad, like, of course, some things, terrible things or unfortunate things have occurred in my life, but they were never, I always use this as excuses. Like, when people ask, but why are you sad, like, why are you depressed, I'd be like, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. But honestly, when those things started falling away and I realized that those things weren't really affecting me anymore, I'd be like, well, I have gotten what I wanted and I've achieved my dreams, and I have, well, not my dreams, that's going a little bit far. Obviously there's still things I would like to accomplish and whatever, but like, when I get something ticked off my list of things that I would like to accomplish, I'm still like, wow, I still feel sad. And you won't allow anyone to love you if you don't love yourself. And that's often a symptom of depression, self-loathing. You just don't see your value, and so you don't really love yourself. I mean, obviously, if you are in a position where you're suicidal and you're thinking about hurting yourself or taking your own life, obviously you don't love yourself very much. You're constantly comparing yourself to other people, and you think that other people are worthy of life, other people are worthy of love, but you are not. That's what self-loathing is. And so, like, even if you get into, even if you have a good support system, a good family, good friends, a good relationship, it's not going to matter because you don't love you. And so, that's the reality of it. And so, I just realized that no matter what, I was still going through that. Now, how do we get better? How do we improve? Honestly, I think that it's an ongoing battle. I am a woman of faith, and I can tell you about Bible scriptures that really help me get through my days. It's all about just depending on God, having faith that things will get better, having faith that His plan for your life will come to fruition and that everything will be okay. You just have to trust in Him. You just have to keep praying and keep working towards things. But I know that can be difficult because you're not discouraged. Like, you don't even want, you're not encouraged. You don't even want to live. You don't want to even move forward. So how can you really achieve things? But God is there for you. He's always there for you. There are some scriptures that tell you about how He's there for people. Some people from the Bible who actually went through depression, they, felt hopeless, and they just wanted to not be in this world anymore. They wished that they hadn't been born, like Job, Elijah. Oh, who was that? Yeah, it was Elijah. People who suffered with depression, and then because they had faith and kept going, and they held on for dear life, God blessed them and their faith was rewarded. So I do believe that, that things can get better. There's also like therapy is very expensive, but there's free services and stuff like counseling and stuff that you can look to. Medication is also a route that you can take, but I feel like it just keeps you dependent on the medication, and you're like, well, I'm depressed, I'm a depressed person, I'm never going to get better, I just have to take medication. And all of that stuff, the side effects of the medication are not really good. You're just tired all the time, like because you can struggle with insomnia because of the depression. You still you just stay depressed, basically. You stay in bed, you stay tired. But I have heard that it's helped some people. Medication didn't really help me. Also physically, like your physical health leads to your mental health. It all starts with your body. So if you're not taking care of your body, you're going to feel depressed. Like if you're not eating healthy, if you're not exercising, if you're not getting some sun, if you're not getting vitamins and stuff like that, you will obviously struggle a lot. People who exercise, they go to the gym and eat healthy, tend to be happier because physically they're taking care of their bodies. But yeah, I just think that there's just a huge misunderstanding of depression, and people don't really have patience or understanding for it, because it's an illness. It's an illness on its own. It's a mental illness. And other people, there's physical illnesses, and then there's mental illnesses. Like if you get the flu, you have symptoms and you have to be medicated, or you just have to take the steps to getting better. That's the same thing with depression. When people are like, oh, just get over it. Like if someone had cancer, would you say, oh, just get over it? No, it's an existing illness, and they are suffering from that. And depression kills people just as much as any other thing could. People die from depression. They lose their battle to it and take their own lives. Try to be sensitive and caring towards those who are struggling, because they just need help and support, not judgment. Because what happens is that someone gives into those emotions and those bad thoughts, and then and before you know it, you've lost someone, and you're like, oh my word, what could I have done? But also another thing is that there's not much a person can do. They can just be understanding, and they can listen, and they can help. Maybe they have resources that can help the person get better. That's the best you can do. But I'm telling you that when someone feels depressed, that is it. It's a sickness of the mind. Satan really uses that to attack someone, and it's a constant battle. It's a constant battle between darkness and light. Sometimes you wake up and you're like, oh my word, I feel so much better. What was I thinking? Everything's gonna be okay, and then that just goes away, and all of a sudden you're just clouded with sadness, and you're like, whoa, what do I do? So it comes and goes. So it shouldn't come to a surprise when someone is just all of a sudden struggling. It's not because of anything that you have done as a loved one. It's not something you have done that's caused them to be that way. It's just the way that they are. And so I specifically, like I've said, it's a daily battle for me. And I'll just keep trying, and sometimes you can feel hopeless, and it's okay. It's expected for you to feel a little bit hopeless, because a lot hopeless, to feel really hopeless, because that is a symptom of depression. And it's not your fault, it's just how you feel. And so yes, it's a daily battle, and you know, don't let it come as a surprise. If someone does something to hurt themselves, it's because they were struggling. So there's nothing to be confused about, like, oh, why would they do that? It's the sickness, it's the illness that caused them to hurt themselves. They just lost their battle. They just lost their strength, because people, you might not see it, but people are trying really hard to hold on. They're trying their best. But I mean, yeah, it's an ongoing struggle, because, you know, you're not feeling up to doing anything that you should do. Like, if you need to go to work, I mean, you know, as a child, things were different, because I had, you know, you have no control of your life as a child. And so when your circumstances are different, when you're younger, you're like, oh, well, it's because I have no choice. But when you grow up, you're like, oh my word, what can I do to change my life? Like, you know, this is my fault. You know, it's up to you. No one is going to wake you up in the morning. Your life is yours. If you decide to stay in bed, you'll stay in bed. If you decide to stay without a job, and if you stay without the things that you know will make you happy, you will stay without them. No one's going to help you get them done as a grown-up. So you just have to push your own self. You have to be your own cheerleader. You have to be your own strength. You just have to keep fighting. You just have to keep moving forward. I'm trying to be optimistic, but I do understand the reality of it, obviously. So it's not like I'm gonna be like, it gets better. I'm sure it does. I feel like it does for some people, but sometimes it doesn't get better. It just doesn't, because there are people who give up, and that's what scares me most of the time. I'm like, people actually end up giving up and they lose their battle. But the trick, I guess, is to not be the person who gives up, you know? If you keep going, then you'll beat it, and then there are moments where it gets a little bit better, right? So you can just look forward to those moments where things will be a little bit better, and then you can take it from there. I don't know, but no situation is gonna make it better. I think that when you start living the life that you want to live, then things will be better. I think that's the point, is that if you have a goal to work towards, then that's your only hope, honestly, is to just improve and get better by trying to achieve whatever it is in your life that you really want, that you think will make you happy, because it does happen. You know, people are walking around saying it gets better because they probably just improved their situations. So I think that is definitely circumstantial. So if you stay in my septum, if you stay in a situation where an environment, it can also be environmental, obviously. So when you make it out of that environment that you're stuck in, it can get better. So let's make goals and things that we know can be doable, and then just tackle them. Even if you don't feel like it, you're the only person. No one's gonna help you get it done, and you know, no one's gonna understand what you're going through. Even if you do have people who understand it, you're the one who is still going through it. And so yeah, I just believe that there are things, tactics that can help you get by. So if you think that the medication like antidepressants, anxiety meds, stuff like that, that's what's going to help you get by, and it's going to help you. Oh my gosh. If you think that something is going to help you survive, I think that you should do it. I hate when people are like, no, don't do therapy, it doesn't work, or no, don't take medication. Just do what you think is best. You're the one struggling, you're the one going through this, and you're the one who understands how it feels and what you're going through. You're the one who knows what's best for you. Whatever decision that you make that you think is going to help you, a lifestyle you want to live, a decision, whatever it is that you think is going to help you, I think that it's important to just do it, because it's for your own good. No one else is living your life for you. Those people who are not going through the depression, those people who don't suffer with anxiety, they don't know what you're going through. They don't know what it feels like, and they're not the ones who have to live your life for you. So just make the decisions that you think are best and whatever is going to help you, because you know deep down what kind of method you want to go after. But yeah, that's the only way that there's a hope to improve. And then, you know, if you see a loved one is struggling, just listen to what they think is best. I think listening is just the best thing. Being listened to, when you're really struggling and someone is there to listen, it makes a difference. It just helps. It honestly helps, because you feel seen and understood. What's wrong with me? Nobody understands, nobody's listening. If you don't feel seen and heard, then you're like, what's the point? What's the point of going on? So the main thing that I wanted to share is that there's a whole stigma of people who, against depression, is that people don't understand how severe it is until someone has done something to hurt themselves. Like, people are like, it's not that bad, or get over it, or stop using it as an excuse. But it's not an excuse, it's a reason for your behavior. Let's say you act out in a specific way, or you make decisions that people don't understand. Because of this depression, it's not your fault. And when you try to explain that to people, they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen to the reason you're doing the things that you're doing. They're just like, that's just an excuse, or they don't understand the fact that it just gets so severe to the point where you don't want to get out of bed and do anything. The only thing you're thinking about is your life just coming to an end. You just don't want to be in this world anymore. And that's what you're thinking about. And then people are just like, oh my word, just do it, just get over it. We all have struggles. Yes, everyone has struggles, everyone has their own challenges, but we all have different challenges, and yours might be depression, even though someone else's might be a completely different struggle. Your struggle is depression, and you're going through the things that you're going through because of depression. And so it can be difficult when people are not there to listen or understand. I don't know. The only thing I can say is that you understand it and you know it, and so you can be there to support yourself, even though it's a little bit depressing that you have to go through it alone. But you're the only one who can get yourself out of it, honestly. So that is it for today's video. If you liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more content like this, please do subscribe. And if you have anything to say, comment down below. See you next time. Bye.